to thank you, Jamie. I want to thank Eddie, Mark, Ilam, Maka, everyone who contributed to today. I also want to thank everyone here who contributed in that really important and beautiful display. It's pretty intense for those of us who have not experienced it. I think you'd agree. I also want to thank, because I know this is largely a vegan animal rights crowd, I want to thank everyone here who is not vegan. It's important for me that you're here, and I think it's important for all of us that you're here. I want to start with an ancient quote. Let's see if you guys know where this is from. "Beware the beast man, for he's the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport or lust or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him. Drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death." Does anyone know where that comes from? Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes. For those of you who don't know what Planet of the Apes is, please make sure that you check them out. Movie from 1968, an exact film series that really documented so much that we were grappling with at that point and we still do today. Racism, sexism, a tremendous amount of social issues, war, everything that the impact of our species is having on this world. I want to consider all these serious questions today that we have about human dominance and the social norms at a time when, the movement for equal rights and women and racial equality are still emerging after all these years. One of the things that always becomes very clear to me when we're grappling with these issues, what is the reason for all these things? There's three things that allows us to keep in the realm of we consider lower animals: desire, convenience, and habit. These are the things that govern so much of our choices. The questions to ask are not if animals have reason, if they suffer or they have feelings, but rather do we. We are reasoning with our skills. We think about the reasons that we have an impact and treat animals in complete opposition with our own truth. The evident truth is that we all do not want to suffer. Ask someone, many of you probably have, if they eat animals, right? Ask them about that. Then you ask them, listen, I'd like you to watch a movie, watch a little film clip about this. We'd like you to get an idea of what it takes to create this. And most people will not want to watch that. Most people say, no, please, I'm not interested. I don't want to see what happens. I already know what happens, right? Do we have that experience, a lot of us? Yeah. It happens. So, at that point, I just wonder, what is it that happens with our reasoning skills that we choose to be complacent towards another's suffering, right? We all have this. I wasn't born vegan, so this was a big part of my life for many years, up to the last 13 years. The actions that we know that bring pain to another, we avoid. We all know they feel pain and suffer just as we do. And so do we really not see the suffering that we all incur in our lives as a result of suffering and the treatment towards other animals? The fact in which direct opposition to some of our governing laws, for instance, like the phrase, thou shalt not kill. We've also had do unto others, right? You've heard that. Don't cheat on the test. You're only cheating yourself. Can you see how the act of ignorance and violent suffering, imprisonment, and slaughter we impose on others might have an effect on our conscience, our consciousness, and our own self-esteem? Can you see how a child looks when sincerity, maybe all of us have, when we look in our family's eyes, our mother or father, and we say, Mom, I'm not supposed to hurt animals. You've taught me to treat animals nicely, to love animals. I don't want to eat animals. Please. It's a tremendous irony that we are taught at a young age. Anybody know this amazing vegan maker by the name of Luis? This little vegan from Brazil? Anyone who see that video? If you haven't, please check it out. Luis, the vegetarian from Brazil. This kid is 4 years old. And what it was a conversation that his mother filmed, right? You saw that, right? His mother saw in him such beauty. She filmed him and she shared, let's eat your food. He was eating octopus. He did not want to eat it. And what came out of it is his connection, the connection that I know that I had and that I believe we all have, that we're not supposed to eat animals. We're not supposed to hurt animals. We're taught this. We're conditioned to do this. our conditioning, our teaching in schools, our social norms, our media, everything around us, lack of education, miseducation, misinformation, and outright lies. These are the things that make us disconnect. We disconnect from the truth. These are the things and the moments that we need to remember so that we can get back to a place of integrity within our own truth. So I also want to bring a little bit of attention to another thing. The same things I'm discussing here, we hold other people to higher standards. Some of our religious leaders, our spiritual leaders, our political leaders, we look to them to hold a higher standard. But they're just people just like us. They're exactly the same. They operate from the same realms that we do: desire, convenience, and habit. And these things are all dictated by one tiny thing that's destroying this planet. It's destroying our spiritual values, and it's destroying our common sense. I want to do a little experiment with all of you, if you can please, everyone right now, if you're listening on YouTube later or whatever, but right now, please, everyone turn to one person. Please, everyone pair off and turn to one person right now. I need you to be just mindful about what's happening, and I know this is going to seem a little funny, and maybe some of you laugh. I'm just asking you to please hold the intention, if you would. Look at each other. Please look at each other. While you're looking at each other, I'm going to ask you to open your mouth and stick out your tongue. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue, and look at it. You should know that this 4-inch piece of our body is the exact responsibility that we have, that we've contributed to a tremendous amount of suffering. This 4-inch piece of flesh in our body has created more suffering than any other thing on the planet. Our desire to consume animals is the single greatest polluter in our world. It's the single greatest polluter, the single greatest use of our resources. And that tongue that we have right there is the exact reason why I didn't turn vegan for so many years, and the exact reason why probably so many of us didn't, and all of us out there. Be mindful. This is something that's really important. We don't have to. We all know. I'm an example of it. There's many other here. We do not need to eat the flesh and fluids of animals to survive. We do not need to use animals to entertain us. We do not need to use animals stuffed in cages over there in order to entertain ourselves. These animals were taken from paradise. It makes me feel so sad. All these beautiful animals that were here, they were created. We created them. We created them. They're not wild, and if they were captured from a paradise that we've taken them from. Just because they're beautiful. That's their sentence. Today in our country, we're faced again with a tremendous amount of injustice regarding race. We're grappling with some of the same afflictions that have been plaguing our country for hundreds of years. Are things any better? In a lot of ways, a lot of us would say, yeah, we're making some progress, but surely we're not finished. And every day we hear more and more black lives that are treated differently than white. This is a form of racism, and by definition, racism is a prejudice, discrimination, violence, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's race is superior. We are here today for this event because another example of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and antagonism called speciesism exists, where a dominant species discriminates, is violent towards, exploits, and commodifies another species due to the belief that one is superior to another. Sometimes people feel uncomfortable when I say this, and they feel that when I suggest that their race is the same as an animal, they might feel degrading. I have a lot of dear Jewish friends, and I suggest that there may be something to look at in regard to the Holocaust. That the Animal Holocaust is just the same, higher numbers in fact. It's a trap that we don't think we're an animal. It's a trap. We are animals. In every single way that it counts, we are animals. Am I the same as a pig? Are you the same as a chicken? Is a Jewish man the same as a goat? A black woman the same as a cow? Or a white man the same as a fish? For every single reason that's important, the answer is unequivocally yes. We are all the same. Thank you. We are all the same. You don't think so? Come spend time at The sanctuary, the Catskill Animal Sanctuary, and I'll guarantee you in 2 seconds you're going to know that we are exactly the same love, the same desires, everything. We all feel pain. We all desire freedom. We all don't want to be sexually abused. We all want to be with our loved ones, to share, to breed, eat well, and live life to the fullest. So yes, by all the things that are the most important for basic survival and joy in life, we are all the same. From every bee to every person to every whale, all of us earthlings are exactly the same. And the day that we all live into that is the day that we all will be free. We don't stand for another's freedom. If we don't do that, no matter what opposing views, is the day that we are all imprisoned. It's the day that we all suffer. However, when we see our suffering in others, we see our truth in others, then we stand for others who are shackled. And those who are not being heard, those who are being abused, exploited, and slaughtered against their will, we stand for them. That is a day that is worth living. It's a day that we're honoring our own lives, our own peace, our own joy, and our own union with all. How can we expect peace for ourselves, for our families, for our friends in our community if we don't offer peace? We must offer peace if we expect peace in this life. I want to share just a quote from the great Alice Walker. She said, and those of you probably know this, "The animals of the world exist for their own reasons. They were not made for humans any more than black people were made for white, or women were created for men." So where do we go from here? Do we get sad? This is depressing. This is intense. Do we tweet about it or click to death? Share our feelings with people randomly? Or do we take action? Action is the only thing that has ever done anything in this world. Action is exactly what is needed on every single level. There is no better time to connect than now. There is no time better to connect, to be honest, to be passionate, to be understanding of others, to understand what is important to others so that we can share from a place of truth, to connect to them and allow them the peace and the safety and the freedom to be part of us. Remember, we were all there once. Educate yourself, be humble, and even more vulnerable. Be proud of your truth and others. It is important for we connect for everyone and to everyone so that we make a difference in this world. We have to be active. Any of us who have any ideas about being active in your community, don't play small. Go to your local radio stations, go to your internet radio stations, go to colleges, go to any groups, do religious groups, colleges, make animal rights groups, everything, please. We need that. The success of the civil rights movement was a result of many tools: Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Huey Newton, Fannie Lou Hamer, many more. There are many paths and disciplines and actions that created the shift that was needed. They all didn't agree with one another's path, but they were all their presence was vital. The same is the same within our movement. It's exactly the same. Every path is vital. Everyone listens a different way. I'm going to finish here in just a moment. I started with a rather sobering quote, and I want to share another. That was a little disempowering, but I want to leave you with something more empowering. I want you to leave with some words that speak to the virtues of our species. Remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world. Harriet Tubman. And one of my personal favorites is, "We are the ones that we have been waiting for." We are the ones we've been waiting for. Do not wait for anyone to do something. Don't wait for anyone to create an event like this. You create an event like this in your town, in your home, in your family. I just have one more thing, and I want you to just answer this question for me. Has anyone ever been to a basketball game, football game, baseball game? Yeah? One person. Great. There are two types of people. There are two types of people that are at an event like this. Anyone have an idea what they are? There are people that are on the court, and there are people that are in the stands. I encourage you to be on the court. A lot of us are on the court. We need more of you on the court, fighting and playing as if you want to be an MVP. We need people playing. Get out of the stands and play big. Push yourself. to make a difference in this world. Push yourself, push your comfort zone, make a difference in this world. Every single animal is waiting for us. They need us. We need us to connect and go deeper. I want to thank all of you very much for the time that we have today. I'm grateful to speak here, and I want to make sure that every speaker has its time. Thank you so much, NARD, for everything that you've given. Thank all of you for being here, and please go out and make a difference. Go make some vegans. Peace.